Good morning everybody and welcome to the 2026 Lego figure overview for of course the Legend of Zelda lineup. This will of course include the main minifigures that have been released, but also my full collection of customs that we are going to go through one by one. But let's, without any further ado, because I am really worried about this turning into a long video, let's just talk about the categories that we have that have made it into this lineup. Good morning everybody and welcome into the 2026 LEGO Legend of Zelda minifigure collection overview. Today we'll be taking a look at every one of my purist, or semi-purist I should say these days, custom figures, including all the official figures from the sets. Now I have a couple of caveats to talk about, that being the fact that I've only included minifigure style characters, with the exceptions of course of the tubes over here and the fact that the Zalfos are brick built heads. So if they don't have a minifigure component or a minifigure fitting, they're not included, which means unfortunately, ironically, characters like Muktarok, as well as all the Tears of the Kingdom bosses, the new official Ganon, and a load of stuff in between that just doesn't quite work, have been excluded from this video, including my second copies of both Young Link and Adult Ocarina Link, however not my second copy of Breath of the Wild Link. So basically it's going to be a hypocritical ride, but we're going to take a look at each one of these figures, including some really exciting new ones, such as the Charge set over here and Demise up here. I'm going to bring them up one by one, and we're going to take a nice look at them, because this collection has, I want to say, basically doubled since last year, and I think it's about time that it has its own separate video. So I'm going to be kind and bring in the new and exciting figures first, and that starts with this guy here. So for those of you not familiar, this is the charged set version of Link from of course Tears of the Kingdom. And one thing that's really special about him is that he is by far the least purist figure we're going to take a look at today. Now, I always have called myself a semi-purist. I mean, I'm a purist in the sense that I always use official Lego parts. However, I stopped short of any major modifications, and all the additions that I have ever made are showcased here on this guy. And that, of course, includes the addition and use of custom decals for specific prints, and the slight willingness, and this is a very rarity here, to modify parts. Although I must say that I've never sort of cut and chopped for these figures. This one was just the forceful addition of a new hole in a rubber hairpiece. So that is sort of where I draw the lines. You won't catch me modifying parts, cutting things short, using other brands and so on, using other accessories, unless I can make it myself. My additions really limit here, and I suppose with the addition of vinyl to a figure like this, but that's more for accessories. So that is what custom purist means to me. I erase prints, I add new ones, and that is about it. But everything is on a Lego figure base, and that is true here for the Charge set, which is one of my favorite armor sets from the game, and I look forward to doing the Ember set and Frostbite set over the rest of the year. And of course there are lots of compromises, especially with the purist medium. However, we're using an official leg piece here. We've got these beautiful green jewel molded legs from Ginny from series 2 of the Harry Potter collectible minifigure series, and then we have a plain torso, which you might be able to tell is actually one of the Batman ones at the Tartan Batman. However, of course, I put it my print from when I drew the Charge set over on top, as well as we have the cuff printing on the arms as well. In addition to that, we're using the lavender brown hairpiece, which is just a Friends one, I believe, from Emma recolored, but because it was mostly because it had the holes and was rubber, which I knew would allow me to put the new unicorn horn piece in the trans satin in the top of the head. I did try on top of the horn, but he looked absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he still looks ridiculous, but this is just a lovely outfit from the game that I really enjoy. And I actually ended up having to do something rather odd with the face, as I got the proportions wrong. However, if you sort of hold it at a distance, you really can't tell. I mean, my styling is slightly off as well, right? Like if you bring in an official one, you can definitely tell that this is effectively a knockoff, except for it's not, it's my design. But that's one thing I need to learn, is I just wasn't quite like able to judge the convex shape of that curve correctly, so it ended up in a tad bit of a mistake. But I really love how this figure's turned out. I need to get him some like electric lightning bits to represent his powers, but it's been great fun having him in the kitchen, and of course it's been great having him in the collection, and of course he looks absolutely great riding Minoru, which was its main purpose. In fact, let me show you that. Oh, never mind, I really don't have a good way to show this, but yeah, sits on there, can just about look above. Ignore the fact that Minoru's legs are missing. She's currently, actually at the time of seeing this, her instructions are being worked on, so you can look forward to acquiring those. They should be available in the link in the description. But yeah, I've taken some photos, you can see them in the photo variant, but I really like specifically how an angle Charge set Link looks on top of Minoru. Let's bring in another new one. This was another one that was pretty exciting to finally do, as it took a while to come to fruition, and that here is a Demise, and this is from the course Skyward Sword. We just finished him. He's been flying around on my test for a month, but I finally managed to get this barbarian sword from the Series 25 figure, but also from the D&D set, and it is the closest thing we have to a purist anti-master sword. So I think, of course, the best thing to do is bring in his rival here with SS Link, and we can have them clash swords. Now, obviously, this is a purist, so it is slightly limited. We're using Imperium legs from Lego Ninjago. We're using a Black Panther torso here. I rubbed out the panther part of the necklace, however, it doesn't look great, so maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I really love, of course, the sort of shine and abs that matches his scales, and of course, that is, of course, tied to another little fella that I have off screen. His other alter ego. But really what made this figure possible was the introduction of the new fire headpiece last summer, which came in the Marvel sets, and they finally decided to take this headpiece off official heads, which was really the only thing holding me back from doing a demise. It looks absolutely great, and we're using the Nightmare Batman face from the 2021, I want to say, Tumblr with Scarecrow. So that was a really great face print for him, although I do wish it was slightly different. It's a very black figure, which is technically true for demise, but it could be a little bit better, and obviously the leg color could match. But as a semi-purist, it's all right, and I think they look great together. Obviously, Skyward Sword being my favorite game in the franchise, this is absolutely fantastic for me to have, and I really love the fact that I can now have them sort of dueling. I know a lot of you are saying he needs to be bigger. I disagree. I think having him as a figure makes perfect sense, and I'm really pleased to have this to the collection. Of course, this is a figure you should all be familiar with. This is Skyward Sword Link. He's not changed in ages. He's using my spare Master Sword. We've got the satchel going across, and this is the Series 23 Elf torso with the print removed, as well as those beautiful medium nougat and brown legs. I remember when we thought these were going to be rare. Turns out no. He's got arms, which are unfortunately in the wrong colour. I need to look into whether they've recoloured these yet into green, because I'd really like to make that as an upgrade. And then we have the elf headpiece here, which with these ears only appeared on one advent calendar from Friends in 2020. It's not our only Skyward Sword figure. This is one I have shown off on that camera before, but I think I've held off showing him, largely because I do believe that one day they will finally recolour the Karen hair so that I can actually have this figure be good. But this is actually now, I think, the oldest surviving figure in the Purist collection, because Skyward Sword Link has been through many upgrades. I have photos of the original version from 2019. However, this figure was made in 2020, 2021. And has just not changed at all. He was never glossed, none of the prints have appealed. It's kind of crazy, actually. And obviously he needs an upgrade, right? Like, he needs a new face, but this is, of course, Girahim using the hair from that Skeleton Crew character that I'm going to forget the name of, KB, I think that's it. Has a katana in black and then just a normal red cape. I would love to get a specialized cape, but capes are surprisingly uncommon, but you can have it in front as like this, or around the back as well. I don't really mind how it looks. It's still very much Girahim to me, sort of rounding out a Skyward Sword trio. And the fun fact about this is this was a pure decal figure, and it was actually doing the decals on this one, which is what scared me off doing them for so long until the charge set in 2026. Like, I suppose the middle example of this, the Princess Zelda variant from the castle, which was also done actually around the same time as Ganondorf. However, I've since actually gone through and updated these prints, but it was the way that her original prints were on, as well as the trauma of doing Girahim's torso and legs specifically, which was what made doing the charge set so scary. And I believe, I'm looking around as I check it, to this day these are the only 3 figures with custom decal prints on them, because I don't love doing this, because I don't think it's really in the spirit of Purist. However, I make exceptions for characters and outfits that I like. So yeah, these are the actual only 3 decaled figures you're going to see today, but I do have some other fantastic Purists like Demise to show off. Before we go much further, I think it's important to mention the current best way for you guys to get Lizalfos. Obviously, you may have noticed from previously that I've had olive green ones, which have been done using the Triceratops CMF, and we also did blue one using the Pterodactyl CMF as well. However, this current version is actually still available on store shelves if you're watching this right as this comes out, as this is the Crocodile CMF from the Collectible Animal minifigure series, using the torso and legs in bright green here for a fantastic rendition of a green Lizalfos that is using very few sort of parts to have this brick built head. Now, I'm not actually usually a fan of brick built heads because I just don't think they feel very much in spirit. However, this one is delightful and I love Lizalfos, so I had to do it. I now have 5 of them. I have 3 of the olive green ones, 1 of the bright green ones, although I'm hoping to expand that before the figure retires. But you can see it is built up this snot core here, and then a brick with 1 modified stud on the side, a bracket into the horn, and then we have this piece as well, which, you have to line it up right. Boop, there we go. And then it just slots onto the head, and you can give them, of course, their spears. You can see the sand blue variant, and then a boomerang on this sand green one as well. Maybe bring in the other two, and I can't wait to get some more of these guys as well. But yeah, I've got my 5 Lazal. You have to let me know, guys, which one you think is the better color for green. My current thinking is that this is going to be the green, this is going to be the blue variant, and then maybe the olive greens can be this like a slightly off-colored electric or something, because I don't want to get rid of them, but I also really prefer this this new color as well. So we'll have to see where we go. If we're talking fodder, I actually have another new fodder to show you guys, and that is the Bubbling Archer from Twilight Princess. For a long time it shows now I've just been using members of my fire army to represent Bubblins that are chasing down Prince Rallis, and here we actually have a purist version of those, and now it's using the Series 13 Goblin as a base for the torso, the legs and the arms, although I am contemplating changing out the hands to match the gloves into sort of like a dark blue or something. But the real changes come, of course, where I've moved the hat piece. We've got this bandana in dark bluish grey, this bandana in dark blue, and then I've taken this sort of old pilot's cap and I've forced it over the head. Now, I don't know if it's going to show up. There is a slight bit of damage there, but it's minor, and you can just leave it loosely above it. It doesn't have to be pushed down all the way. However, I just chose to push it that little bit further just because I really like the look, and it's pretty accurate, obviously, apart from like the horns, but as far as it goes, it's not half bad. Like this one works out quite well. We also, I suppose, fodder-wise, have the 2 Yeagers, which are just Guavi and Death Gang members. However, these guys are the ones we use in Yi clan attacks to jump out of the roofs. And they've both got the sickles and then the demon carvers at the moment. However, I may just change these out for sort of one of each at one point, but currently I'm just still exploring it. These were actually a pain to get in silver, but they're a lovely part. They came in a weapons accessory pack in only 1 set. So they're delightful, and we used another part from that pack in the Champions art for the Mythos headdress elements as well. But yeah, these work as substitutes. Obviously, you could do brick build, but the Guavian heads are pretty perfect, and unlike someone else that we're about to see, no one ever mistakes these guys for not what they're supposed to be. Unlike Mr. This is Demon King Ganon, who's got all of his accessories on, and no one ever tells me it's Ganondorf, they just see Garmadon, unfortunately. But we've got the Blood Moon sword here, which just looks like he's got sort of a gloom effect on his sword. This is from Ninjago, and then also has these giant gloom elements that are coming out the sides here. So these are also ironically from Ninjago Blood Moon. That was a great series for a lot of the parts because it also gave us the Blood Moon. In fact, let me show you that. The downside to this part is that it came with a massive hole in it, so I've had to sort of cover that with clouds. It's such a shame that this part wasn't like fully usable, but having this ability to have this Blood Moon, and I'm going to put like another one of the new Monkey Kid clouds coming out the back or something, just to make the clouds look a little bit more natural. But having a Blood Moon, also really cool. The Wolf Mask Warriors really did a great thing for Tokka builds. But we have, I believe it was Mikek or one of his followers' torsos with all that red and the armor on there, which works perfectly. Ninjago Kai's legs, I believe, or was it Sons of Garmadon, one of the two, for sort of continuing that gloom pattern onto the leg. And then the series 25, I want to say pirate, like Barracuda Lady, the pirate captain, her scarf has been put on sideways to be this waist cape here, which looks great. And then we have, I think it's the wildfire hair as well. This really is an Ninjago figure here, and I want to get one of these pieces in black from the new Cornish Pixie set, because I want to keep mixing up the color, because we've got all the claws on the end, and I try and put them in different directions to make it look like the gloom tentacles as well. So delightful. I do have a version of this without the backpack, where effectively I take this off and then I can use a longer hairpiece, which works slightly better. Oh, and then this was a new addition actually, is I got one of the Surfer arms from the series 16 or 17 Surfer, and that just has some red markings on it, and I only did it on one arm because the other arm is red, and it just makes it look like more of that sort of malice pattern from this version of him is included as well. Let's clear up the space, and actually let's finish up with all of the villains before we move on to the next ones, as I have these guys here. Ignore my weird stand, it was mostly for posing. We have 2 sizes of Z-blobs for Zols specifically. You could say choose as well, but mostly I view them as Zols. We use these in Link's Awakening mock last summer. I've got 5 of them here, and I really enjoy having them, but they are just single piece builds, and they don't really count for the purpose of this video. If we're going purely based off villains, why don't we just quickly segue through the official figures as well, which won't take long. Of course, we have the brand new Ganondorf from the Ganondorf set. I'm going to do, if not have not already done, a full video comparing these to the drawing versions I did, so I'm really not going to dwell on them. In fact, let me just show you them here. But we have Ganondorf, Ocarina, Adult Zelda, and Ocarina Adult Link from the new set in 2026, and then we have Young Link, Breath of the Wild Zelda, and Breath of the Wild Link from the official set as well in 2024 on the Deku Tree. I actually now have 2 copies of every figure apart from Zelda and Ganondorf Here I have a second young Link which we got from the factory leak. He's up in my display cube. We have obviously the second Ocarina Link from the Deku Tree. This one's from the Ocarina set. And then these two, I picked up a second copy of bags 3 and 4 from the Deku Tree set. So you'll see him later on because his parts are in use. You've actually already seen her hair and hair as she was on my custom decaled ones. Basically, I used the second version parts for these two for other figures. I just have not done the same with my second young Link and adult Link. But I don't think you're really here to look at the official figures as cool as they are. Let's bring in another new one. So far I've not been great with like the race representation. However, here we have my only Goron and Zora, and I hope this starts to bring in to perspective the trouble that they are going to have bringing some of these characters to life. As yeah, these don't look good. Specifically the Rallis, I have to acknowledge, is a meme. Like, it could look better. However, we just chose this because it was kind of funny. So this is the Rallis that sits dead in the Rallis Wagon Escort set that we have, and is using like that inside out face in purple that doesn't work at all, and then the purple beanie, which is ridiculous, and then this other combination of really awful lavender parts as well. And then the Goron, ironically, actually looks alright, and actually looks even better if we add on the Things cap from the Fantastic Four set. I tried that and it actually looked surprisingly good. We just got this overall print here, and this is in theory meant to be Unova, but it's just a generic Goron. He doesn't have to look amazing because he spends most of his time in the Sonic Speed Sphere being thrown around at high speeds on my display table. So yeah, we have Rallis and technically Unova as well, and they look awful. So I'm just going to pretend that they don't exist and bring in another fantastical creature, this being the Wind Waker Great Fairy. And you can really see that this is why we need the theme to expand, because these do not look great at all. I am by no means telling you that I like these. Some of the other ones we looked at earlier, like the Bublin and the Charge set and the Lizalfos, I don't mind, but this one, not great. Largely inspired by the Orion headpiece that came out in the Series 26 Galaxy series, and using a Garmadon with a print removal. This was the Good Night Bedtime one, using 2 copies of Orion's arms. Luckily I had lots of Orions from the Ice Planet escapades I made, and then we're using I used a different colour originally, but the Spectral Dragonian is by far the closer colour and really matches the colour scheme. I still think I want to make upgrades to this figure as we go, but this is about as close as we could get. I could really do with a headpiece that would suit this Queen Fairy, sorry, the normal fairy, but it would also work really well for a 5. So I'm hoping that some kind of weirdly simple domish headpiece for this guy comes out soon. But yeah, this is a disaster also as well. Let's finish up this figure display stand with Cedro from Age of Calamity. If you don't know him, he only appeared as a PNG sprite in the Blacksmith. And then slightly more important, we have Telma here, who has actually finally been added instead of me using the Bard from the series D&D minifigures. So Cedro is really great. Actually, I really love how he turned out. The beard's got a little bit of grey in it. He's got the ponytail around the back. He's got his hammer. And then he's wearing some overalls here for his blacksmith nature. And then Telma here is using, I think it's Elaine's shirt from the Seinfeld set, but it just sort of works for her like sort of button-up shirt and yeah, her way. And we've got this amazing face print for the winking face here. She's got a stern expression on the other side, which is great. And then we have the Barbara Gordon hairpiece without the ring in it, which was used in City, which works is about as close as we can get for a hairstyle. It's not perfect, but obviously that wink is iconic. She looks great. She almost always sits on the wagon, which is perfect, although her hairpiece does get in the way as well. As far as the other side characters who we got left on the stand, we have Miss Tingle and Miss Sonia. Here Sonia is in her dress form. I may or may not do decals for her at some point, purely because although I love Purist, I do love her like dress piece because she has a sitting down variant which I use all the time when she sits at her gazebo. They finally recolored this hairpiece into tan, and this was actually, I believe, the original one I used on the figure drawn version. So we were using the Nova hair, which was sort of a short bob, but this one's so much better. I love it. She's effectively about as close as she ever needs to get. Ironically, I've just noticed, this is a real tangent, but this torso here from the Harley Quinn figure, this one is actually, ironically, ended up using her head on Pura, but like this was bought separately like years apart, but I'm just realizing it's still in the same figure. And then we have my one random yellow skin Tingle figure, because like why? Because of this headpiece. This headpiece was just too funny not to use. It was used in City Racers as this like dino, and I had like the yellow ears hanging around from my original version Link. It was just too good of an opportunity to not pass up. I would love for them to do a face like this that would work as well for skin tone ones, but for now this is literally all you've got, except for not quite, because in Secret Cave Discovery I have a little Easter egg to a certain map maker. So here you go, here's Fleshstone Tingle. It's a skeleton with a paintbrush and so on, and this is him. This was always the intended reference, but yep, this one lives in Secret Cave Discovery alongside 2 other half figures, you might say. which is the two goddess statues, specifically the horn statue and then the one. And again, these are no means by perfect. I'm still going to change this one out to light bluish grey and hopefully get a better hairpiece as well. However, these are fine for now. So we've got the normal one. I don't know why I chose to do the wings. I just really like the piece. I think I may change that back out to the not open one so that we just have the ones without the wings. But yeah, these are currently in Secret Cave Discovery as well. The horn statue I like quite a lot as well. This has some nice presence to it, but obviously the colour matching is all over the place. As regardless, it's besides the point. Let's just keep moving. Let's get through some links and get towards the end here. Here is the rest of the Breath of the Wild figure. I've had him with hair for a long time. This is actually a young Obi-Wan face. However, I recently acquired the Hylian hood and this Minecraft cape combo, which looks great on him. However, I didn't want to put that to waste. So this is the figure that usually sits on the Colgera stand. He may end up moving over to Hyrule Castle, we'll see how we go, but usually I put his legs backwards and he sits kneeled down on a wing. Here he is with a construct sword and traveler's shield, so I really like this. It again just gets to showcase more variety, and yeah, I like the cape so much that I think I may be keeping this, and maybe that other hair one will retire, because we didn't really need 3 links with hairs out, especially ones that didn't have the accurate hair pieces, because as you may know or remember, the other version of my headpiece and hair I keep on the Naked Link, the Sheikah Shorts one from Breath of the Wild here. So this one currently has, what do you call that, Korok Leaf, which is done in vinyl. He holds that in his 2 hands. He's using Spider's torso from Avatar 2 with the print removed, which actually leaves him with most of the sort of muscle definition, but not too overly defined muscle, which I think suits Breath of the Wild Link because he's quite skinny. But with some damage actually, which I kind of like because it represents the scars. And then we have the boot prints here, which is from Queenie Goldstein from the Fantastic Beasts series, but again with print removed, which looks great. I love this figure. I think it's so silly and so fun. And what I was able to do is, obviously I had that second Breath of the Wild Link, so I was, instead of just getting 1 figure, I split the parts across 2. So yes, I don't have a second perfect figure, but I have a perfect torso and legs, and then I've modified all the head stuff. But it means that this is a perfect figure because I've given him perfect torso and legs because I've made them, and I've been able to give him the perfect head and hair. So I got 2 figures effectively for the price of 1, and of course I still have all the parts for the official one as well. Let's keep with the modern games and bring in these 2. You may have seen these guys if you've been watching the Lookout Landing series, but these are my identical glide links. This one is the one that goes up the tower, and then this is the one that comes out. These 2 aren't quite finished yet because I still want to get the leg prints with like the carabiners and stuff on, but these both use Echo from Marvel's Torsos. You can see I've used the arms as well when they're down, but I love the sort of lining. Again, accurates like outfits like that are really difficult to do because obviously you're never going to match all the details in a purist form unless you use custom prints, but I think this is pretty good here using the pod racing faces and the hair pieces. I'm considering changing one of the hair pieces back out to make it look more like windswept, like this is the one that goes up the tower, because this is the same figure we use on the next figure we're bringing in, which is the archaic one, which is to me the sort of let down messy Tokka hair, although it doesn't have ears and isn't perfect, the Old Man Luke hair. But I kind of like the idea that when he comes out of the tower, maybe it's a little bit more windswept, a little more blown, and obviously we're using the man-bat arms to show sort of the glide suit. I wish I had these in dark red, but the dark brown will have to do. Again, you never know what parts are going to come out in the future, so maybe we'll do an upgrade. But yeah, these 2 are supposed to be identical, but it is another sort of Link outfit. We'll take the other one out of the way and bring Archaic Tunic back in. This is a long-standing figure. I think this one has its own video on it, and unfortunately it's starting to show its age. I think we'll have to do a readjustment because, like, if you look under the sword, this is like almost separating, which is not going to look great on him. This is another one using Spider's torso, but this time with the print left on there. This was, of course, to sort of recreate the scarring detail coming across from the Spider-Man torso. And yeah, this is one of the older customs now. No, it's nowhere near as old as sort of the Girahim or what would have been the original Zelda variant before I updated her. The older Zelda variant, I should point out, that is now in storage along with the older Link. Didn't even use his dress piece because it wasn't available in dark blue. Well, that's a lie, it was, but it was only on the expensive Hogwarts Castle. But this figure was done I think back for the Tokka launch, so it's definitely getting up there in age, and obviously I keep him really safe in a bag, but he might just need a little bit of a touch up. But yeah, this is our Archaic Tunic Link. We have 2 more links left, and then we're going to move on to the final batch, and that is Wind Waker 1 here, who's not great, but he does the job. He sits in King of Red Lions most of the time. He's got a baton and usually a bomb as well. He's using a Peter Pan torso and the Bunsen Honeydew legs, I believe, from the Muppet series, a normal child face, and then just the Lloyd hair as well, which is not the right color, I know, but like it's compromises, right? Compromises. And then we have the original Purist Breath of the Wild, and this was before, of course, we got our hands on the official torso. So I kept this figure around just because I need so many links to fill up the display. So this one is my bow version here. He's using like a wrong headpiece, and the Boba Fett torso and those space arms. So this was originally with some other parts to make the perfect purist, and oh wow, just like how far things have come, because it's like night and day. But this was as good as you could get back in like 2023, 2024. And yeah, so this one's holding shock arrows in a bow. This is this wonderful like firing bow element that they don't use nearly enough, but it's fantastic. If we had a playset theme, I'm sure it would be in so many models, with the firing arrows that come in both blue and yellow now. So I'm using yellow. I used to use blue for ice, but I'm using the yellow now because we've got this wonderful peach piece which looks just like a shock fruit, so you can imagine that he's loading them up ready to throw them as well. So this is delightful. I love this. And then that brings us to our last batch. So this is a big one. These guys here are the reason that the display has increased so much in the last year, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there are about 20 figures that get included in Lookout Landing, and that is obviously including both glider variants. However, we're not here to talk about them right now. So this is the civilian and sort of named character lineup that go and fill out Lookout Landing and Secret Cave Discovery, which you may have seen or coming soon onto a display model. It was really important to me that if I was doing a town setup, I obviously had to have certain named characters, but also I had to make it feel alive, and that just wasn't going to happen unless I had figures. So I had a delightful time picking out all of the different sort of outfits and so on that we were going to pick for different characters, stuff that felt medieval, stuff that felt accurate and true. And again, this is not done. There are still some compromises, notably here and here, that will be sorted. And if you're going to say, where is Joshua, Robbie, or anyone like Jaren from the basement, they're still coming. I have to draw a line somewhere, and there are some parts in here that are particularly expensive. Now again, if you've watched the Lookout season, they will be fairly familiar with you, so we're going to go pretty fast, only more loitering on the named ones at the front. But let's start bringing them in, and I suppose we should start with the most important, and she is one of the ones that unfortunately is compromised, and this is Pura. Now, things I'm happy with. I quite like the legs and torso. As far as purist combos can get, these ones are all right? It's a Master Wu torso. It was not my first choice Master Wu, but my first choice Master Wu, as you're going to discover, was an expensive one. So I had to compromise with, I believe this is the core one, or it might be the like Dragon Master one from Legends instead. She's got David's legs from Lilo and Stitch, and that was actually a really lucky choice because David's torso ended up being used on Taro as well. Now, both of these guys are missing cloth elements, but unfortunately cloth elements are just hard to find, which means that I have to like wait until I go to a store that has them. I'm prioritizing it, but I just cannot make infinite Brooklyn orders. So again, she'll get a dark blue sash to go over one side, and he will get a teal skirt element that will look like the jacket he ties around his waist. The hair I'm also not happy with. I want to get the Princess Harumi one with the black chopsticks, but that's like a 40 quid minifigure, so that's not happening anytime soon. That price needs to come down, or it needs to come in another set. So in the moment, we're stuck with this Friends hairpiece, which is used. It's not great. I don't like hate it, but I don't love it either. The other choice was the Madame Morrible one, but I just haven't picked that up yet. The face was a Harlequin face, as I mentioned earlier, and I love this one because it's got that sort of lip there, but then it's also got this bemused one as if she's sort of blown up. Ignore the back print. I'll probably rub that off eventually. I wanted to see her complete for now. So Pura obviously is our main character, and she can of course pose basically anywhere in the village. We then of course, as I've been talking about, have Taro here. We're using these cowboy boot prints here, but obviously they look like he's actually just got his like sandals on, and like his shorts just stop short, which is great. He's got the necklace as well. Obviously I chose to sacrifice, and again, purists often have to lose certain details. I chose to sacrifice sort of the open coat down the sides, and I left the tattoo for now, but I may change that out. He's got magnifying glass, he's got the dreads hair, which is what we gave him in the original custom set, and he's got this great face with a beard. So really he just needs that pop of like greenish blue, because then that will tie him in with his Zono Servo team member here, and then hopefully these two will look like a great pair. I'm still going to change out the head and hair on this one, I think, as well, but this is just using a gardener's torso on the back. Yes, it should be a vest, but again, part conversations, it's more so the color blocking that's right on this one. So these two are a great little combo, and I love the flat cap as well for Zono Servo team. Let's go back to main named characters. Here we have Mubs. This is the shopkeeper. Again, I've talked at length about wanting her to have been better as well. I want to change her out for the new dark umber skin tone as well whenever possible, but it's just part availability, and I'd rather have her at all and then just upgrade her over time rather than wait just to maybe never buy the right parts. So hence that's why we go compromise. But this was a white torso. This was the only torso to date that I've ever used nail polish remover on, and I don't love how things turned out because it just wouldn't get rid of its like residue-y. Anyway, I'm more of an eraser person. However, This was just an experiment because it was quite a thick print that just wasn't coming off with it. And then we've got the olive green legs as well. She looks great. This headpiece is perfect for her. So she's our shopkeeper, filling out that quadrant. And as far for other name characters, we have Farah. She's the well dweller. She's still missing a pen, but she is obviously the one where you do the Where Are the Wells quest, but she sits in Secret Cave Discovery around the back. So unfortunately, she does not get much showtime. I did take this great photo with her though, and she's got the afro again. I wish this would have been in dark purple, but it doesn't exist yet. If it ever does, of course, we'll change it out, but this is the closest color match in the meantime. She's got that slight smirk, she's got her little checklist, and this wonderful jacket print, which you'd think would be too modern, but it came in the Winter Village Train, the 2025 edition, and I actually really like it. I was originally going to save it and use for just custom figures, just because I really like the print, but it kind of does fit that like sort of faux medieval style quite well. So quite pleased with her. Complete change up. It's not quite the right color, but I do really like it, and it makes her stand out from everyone else. Continuing name characters, we have Scorpus, and we'll do them at the same time. We'll do Kosi. One of the coolest things about this is, once again, I'm using one figure to get double the parts, right? You'll notice Dragon Paladin torso and arms on Scorpus, and Dragon Paladin legs on Kosi, and that continued onto a third figure as well, who I'll come back to, this sort of unnamed Order soldier who has the original armor piece. And actually two more have jumped off there. I brought a Dragon Paladin keychain and was able to get these two out of it, but we'll come back to those. Let's focus on Scorpus and Kosi, because these two are named characters. Scorpus obviously guards the emergency bunker. He's got his olive green legs, so these are all monster control crew or like highly remnant forces, so they often don't have good condition or full armor. Obviously I'm using, we don't have like the logos and stuff, but this works in the meantime. He's using an Orlando Bloom face. It's one of the few times you can get away with using the Orlando Bloom face, and I actually feel it works and doesn't just read like Orlando Bloom is in my mock. So I'm quite pleased with that. And he's got the man bun at the top with the spear, so really like him. He's one of my favorites that I was really looking forward to recreating, and I think he turned out absolutely great. And then his counterpart Kosi from Secret Cave Discovery was another one I was really excited about, because again, it's one of those times that you get a minifigure and you're just like, wow, the perfect headpiece really does exist. This is the Woody Harrelson character from Solo Star Wars Story. I forget his name right now, but I do know it because I had to search it like 6 times on Bricklink because I was looking for good deals. This is an expensive head. This is a £5 piece right here. However, it was worth it because I looked through all the other moustaches and there were just no other compromises that were perfect. And this is just such a fun recreation of him. I may change out the torso for the old Obi-Wan one from the Ahsoka show. However, I quite like the straps on this one. And again, there's Dragon Paladin legs. He's got a sword. He will be spending most of his time sort of sat down, probably in the corner of Secret Cave Discovery, like sort of hammering away, which is where you actually find him in game, and he's one of the ones that talks about fuses. Just another NPC that sort of stood out to me and that I'm quite excited to have. Really adds a bit of life to it. I think that is every named character, and the fun thing about having non-named characters, that if you run into me at conventions this year, we're going to be doing a little bit of a census, and that is going to be that I'm going to allow name suggestions on the various characters based off their jobs and roles. Now, some of them are very much inspired by specific NPCs that we have in Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom, so I may end up using their names. However, there are also some that are very much just Highlands in the style. As I think it's very much in the spirit of the shows that we let you guys have a little say, especially on unnamed characters, you know, just a little bit of fun. So yeah, come by show and we'll see about some naming. So as I mentioned, these two specifically use a Paladin keychain with the arms and then the torso leg spread over here. So if I take the head off this guy, you'll see that it's one of the ones where I've had to use a candle flame technique to get the specialized piece over there. I really need to stop taking it off so it doesn't get any looser. But yeah, it was really cool that they brought the Paladin back in some form, and I'm glad I was able to use it, as I do believe these are the closest parts for Purist Highlands. So so 2 more monster control or just like ex-soldiers, and then the armor piece from the original Paladin on this old guy. Maybe he was even around in the Calamity, or that wouldn't make him a very good soldier. He's just using random parts underneath. Ironically, another Orion torso from the Great Fairy. You can see everything gets used eventually. Although this certainly hasn't been a quick or cheap venture. On to more civilian ones, we've got some various different medieval torso prints that just sort of add a fill up the world. I was very careful about choosing ones that didn't feel too sort of high medieval and that were more like colourful, because they're just quite whimsical. So like simple shapes, bright colours, sort of jerkin for like farm hands, and then more like richer ones for like merchanty or sort of side-based characters. So here's another one using the Da Vinci torso, but I've changed out the arms so that instead of it being like a regal blue coat, it's now like a woolen overcoat, like a sheep herder. Variety of so I'm trying to like get the me maker look. This is the original Sonya hair that we're using, and yeah, just trying to do my best to capture the Hylian aesthetic, and I hope that that comes across. Obviously, again, not going to be perfect because we don't have Hylians, but I really tried to capture it. Some of my favorite examples include this one here. This farmer guy. You always see the farmers with the rakes sort of prancing around the village. He's got a big backpack on. He's using that traditional medieval bit, but again, I've changed out the arms and legs, just to make sure that it sort of feels very sort of Hylian. I keep saying that. And then we have this lady who's sweeping. She's using a witch torso with some changed out arms. So again, this looks like an overalls with a big scarf. Love her face, she looks great. And then this one using this is the newest one with the 2020 Viking torso that I found on the floor. But this is another like adventurer here. He's using just a hat, which is a little less realistic, but it works out. And then we have this adventurer here who's using actually Lord of the Rings torsos. Didn't love this combination, but I think on her it works quite well. She really does look like an adventurer. This backpack was really expensive. Yeah. A nice little lineup, really, just absolute chaos. But that is going to do it for taking a look at all of the figures that we've got so far. I hope that maybe this gave you some inspiration, or that it was just fun to take a look down memory lane. And yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye.